Good afternoon. I wanted to make another video to show you how to use the trimmings from the vegetables, the carrots, the onion skin, garlic peelings, anytime you have celery, the little ends of the celery or the leaves of the celery, the trimmings from something like a parsnip or even red onions would be good, corn husks and actually even the cob are really great to help make a stock. And all a stock basically is you're kind of making a tea. You're taking these leafy parts and these vegetable parts and soaking them in boiling water. They're releasing their flavor into the water, and then you use that water to make rice, or it's the base of a soup, the base of a stew. It's a very simple, kind of technically, you're really just infusing water with the flavors of whatever you put in there. And as I mentioned in our video showing some basic cuts, I always save in the freezer the trimmings from the carrots and the onions and the garlic. And I even mentioned I save the skins because they give a nice, beautiful golden color. And once my bag gets full, I know it's time to make some stock. So really all I'm going to do, so let's turn that down a little bit, is I have a pot of water on. I dump my stuff in. I turn the heat on. Hopefully my oven is nice and clean. And we'll bring it over. Let it come to a boil. You want the vegetables to be covered by about maybe an inch or so, an inch or two, so that you get enough ratio of water to vegetable. And I'm gonna let this come to a boil. And then once it comes to a boil, I'm gonna turn it down to a simmer for about maybe an hour. Vegetables maybe take an hour. I'll probably add in a bay leaf. I'll add in some peppercorns. The more you add in, obviously, the more flavor there's going to be. If you know what your vegetable stock is going to go make, you can add in some of the flavors. Like if you know you're going to make let's say a carrot ginger soup, you could put in some peelings from some ginger. If you're making, I don't know, an onion soup, you could put in some extra onions, or actually even caramelize the onions before you add them. So a stock is just basically flavored water, no salt. We will salt this when we ultimately use it for whatever we're going to use it for. But I like to use this because it gets a lot of flavor, some of the nutrients from stuff that you otherwise might compost. And I keep it in my freezer in little quart containers or 2-cup containers anytime I want to make some stock. And I will pause now. I'll bring this back when the stuff has cooked for about an hour and show you how it should look and finish off. All right, so we're back now after an hour, which is the perfect amount of time to shower and shave, so I look a little fresher. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to strain out my stock. This vegetable stock, as I mentioned, only needs to cook for about an hour. If we had chicken bones in there, would go for maybe 5 or 6 hours, maybe even overnight. And then it's going to sit in here, nice and golden. That golden color comes from the onion skins. And then what I'll do, I'll divide it into these quart containers, let them cool off, and then stick them in my freezer. And what you want to remember most about a stock is that a stock is not a finished product. A stock is not, okay, cameraman, you can put it down. Thank you very much. Very high tech here at Corn Teaming. A stock is not a finished product. So what you're going to do is when you use this, you could use this for a soup, but because it's so dark, and taste it, see how flavorful it is. If you're making, say, a vegetarian minestrone, you could use 1 quart of vegetable stock to 2 or 3 quarts of water to sort of stretch it out. You don't have to use it at full concentration. You can even concentrate it down so it takes up less room in the freezer. Same thing with a chicken stock. It shouldn't be seasoned. It shouldn't be, it's not a complete product. You're gonna go on to use it for other things. As I said, you could cook grains in this. With it being so dark, you maybe don't want to cook white rice in it, but brown rice. I like to cook quinoa in vegetable stock because I don't like the flavor of quinoa, so it hides it. You could use this to make a sauce for a pasta, the base of a soup, but it's a really great way to utilize all those pieces of vegetables that you otherwise would have composted. And like I said, a vegetable stock, set it on, boil and simmer for an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Chicken stock, put it in a crock pot, let it sit all night, let it sit on the stove for 4 or 5 hours, get a lot of nice flavor, and then strain it out, let it cool, keep it in your freezer. It'll last for 6-7 months in your freezer, but I guarantee if you start making it, you'll never have enough lying around.